Greetings, fellow men. Servus Männer. It is Red Pill Germany again, and today I want to bring you another news item out of Germany. Now, this story involves the birthplace of Karl Marx, the city of Trier, and the way that they want to celebrate his 200th birthday that is coming up on the 5th of May this year. In fact, the plan is to erect an over 5-meter high statue of Karl Marx. Now, in this context, it is really interesting that a lot of lefties, a lot of centrists, and a lot of skeptics argue that quote-unquote cultural Marxism is a right-wing conspiracy theory. That the whole notion that Western society since the 1960s was infiltrated and undermined by Marxist elements is just a conspiracy theory, and it's not really happening. Now, I have to admit the term cultural Marxism is maybe not the best term. I used it on occasion, but you could also say neo-Marxism or postmodernism, Frankfurt School, what have you. So when people normally say cultural Marxism, they want to express that they don't mean the narrow sense of Marxism that only involves itself with the means of production and the class struggle or the situation of factory workers during the era of the Industrial Revolution. So people who use that term cultural Marxism normally mean the tendency that was championed and maybe created by Marx to divide people into oppressors and oppressed people, and to assign these fixed roles to more than just the bourgeoisie and the proletarians, but also, as everyone knows, as SJWs do these days, and the normies also, everything is oppression now. There are systems of oppression behind everything, and this all goes back to Marx. So I would just call it Marxism, actually. Because even Marx himself never said that this can only be applied to the workers and the bourgeoisie. He was very much aware that this is a general way in which to look at the world, and that it must always be reformed and always be applied to the current social situation and current society. So in that sense, I would say there is no cultural Marxism or neo-Marxism. There is only Marxism, and just during Marx's lifetime, the challenges and the new realities that the Industrial Revolution brought along was the topic of the time. This is why he applied it to that. But there is no fundamental difference between these neo-Marxists of today, or these SJWs or cultural Marxists, and Marx himself and his followers and disciples back then. So all these people on the left and in the globalist establishment are saying that this is all just a conspiracy theory. Now look at the city of Trier. What are they doing? As I said, on the 5th of May, they will celebrate the 200-year birthday of Karl Marx. And what are they doing? Are they taking the opportunity and discussing about this controversial figure? Are they saying maybe let's have a discussion about Marxism and the victims of Marxism and communism? No. On their website, they actually say that this statue that they want to erect, and that apparently, or according to them at least, the People's Republic of China has donated to these festivities, is a great present for the greatest son of the city, and they call him a philosopher and a thinker. They are actually praising Karl Marx, and they're totally neglecting that he was a hateful liar who was consumed by his envy towards smarter and more productive people. He was not a philosopher. He was a sophist at best. He was not a thinker who really just wanted to understand how social dynamics work or how the production process can be understood in more abstract terms. No, he actually said that it is the duty of all the workers to rise up and violently, illegally take the power by force and steal what others produced. He divided the people, he divided the nations into petty little groups depending on how many goats and cows they own, and I think he devised the most evil lie that was ever told, and that is that there is oppression without actual oppression. That if some people are more successful in life because they're smarter or they work harder or they spend decades to perfect a trade or a skill or a craft that is useful to other people, then they're actually oppressing the people who didn't do these things, who might be drinking or who might be sleeping all day long or who were just not born that smart. And this is not just any kind of lie. It is a very clever lie because it directly targets the hurt ego and the envy of those people who walk through life with a chip on their shoulder, feeling entitled to success without actually applying themselves. And as we all know, the world is full of these people. The most humane thing you can do to those people is to give them a job in production where you tell them in detail what they have to do and where you take all responsibility away from them and basically tell them step by step what to do. The next best thing is to just give them welfare, which is not good for their psychology, but at least they don't starve, or you could just ignore them and then they would just die. But Marx made use of these people insofar as he used them as a tool for his hatred and his envy. He made them believe that they are oppressed by some invisible mechanism that is never really specified. I mean, if you were a prisoner of war in ancient Greece and sold into slavery, yeah, then I see the oppression. But in today's society, at least, I don't really see any means of oppression, any mechanism of actual subjugation or oppression where all these people are claiming that there are some. Most of these things, if not all of those things, are actually a result of nature and nobody's fault. People are just different. They're different in ability, different in personality traits, and their environment when they grew up was different. And that is, in most cases, nobody's fault, so there is no real oppression here. But everyone in mainstream culture is talking about systematic oppression and marginalized groups and nonsense like that. And this is exactly out of the Marxist playbook, and this is also what the city of Trier is, of course, propagating. And these people who celebrate Marx's birthday by erecting such a statue, they're just proving to all of us that this is not a conspiracy theory. These people actually are Marxists. Of course they are. They're erecting a 5-meter tall bronze statue of him, like as if he was that great guy and as if he helped humanity and brought us forward so much, when all he did is incite violence and hatred and crime and this vile, stinking lie that he called a philosophy caused the death of hundreds of millions of people worldwide. And I refuse to call it a philosophy if you actually tell a lot of unsuccessful people that the successful people are the reason for their misfortunes and they should take revenge by taking up arms and exterminating people who just have high IQs or have actual free will or the ability to defer immediate gratification and so on and so on. So if you actually go around and weaponize these natural differences in human biology, human biodiversity if you wish, in order to undermine the system and bring about mass murder, then no. This is, in my book, this is not philosophy, this is not the act of a great thinker or analyst. And even in the US, I would say free speech ends where you incite people to violence and crime. If I tell a bunch of lies in order to get people all worked up and then tell them go and kill these people, yeah, that is a criminal offense. This is not free speech. And in that sense, Marx was not even covered by the free speech laws in the United States. And it's not philosophy, it is vile and hateful crime. But going back to the city of Trier, it is actually very interesting how they on their webpage claim that the People's Republic of China actually offered them to donate the statue, so that they were approached by the Chinese. Now the Chinese offered a statement of their own in which they say that the city of Trier is lying and it was the idea of the city of Trier, and they approached the Chinese in order to get the statue erected there. Now I want to point out at the end though that not everyone in Germany thinks like the administration or the mayor of Trier. There are also of course critical voices, people who criticize this glorification of Karl Marx and who actually want to have a discussion about the victims of Marxism. especially in Germany and in Europe. So anyway, I just thought this story would be interesting to some of you guys out there because this will hardly be covered on the international news, and it is a clear proof that our establishment, meaning government or local administrations and so on, are in fact full of Marxists. And I don't know, cultural Marxists, whatever, they are actual Marxists. And as such, of course, they are okay with gulags and with distribution of wealth and the seizing of the means of production, putting people in camps, and so on and so on. So if all of this were just a weird conspiracy theory in the head of Alex Jones and his likes, then why the hell are they erecting a huge bronze statue to the honor of Karl Marx while speaking his praise in the city of Trier at this very moment? So enjoy the rest of your weekend and take care, especially at Revolutionary Labor Day. Servus, Kameraden.